I think pork is a forgotten protein on most people's menu, but these pork chops, these are totally different than the ones your mom used to make. This is a chili honey glazed pork chop. Let's get cooking with Styles. I'm using bone-in pork chops for this. We'll season one side and then put the seasoning on the other side once we get it in the pan. I'm using some kosher salt here, getting not a heavy amount, but a pretty good amount because we've got a lot of meat there. The fresh cracked pepper over the top. And again, don't forget this is a chili pepper honey glazed pork chop, so don't go too heavy on that. And then we're using granulated garlic on this side. I've got my pan on a medium-high heat, and I'm going to put in about 2 or 3 tablespoons of olive oil. That'll probably smoke a little bit because it's really hot. I want to get a nice big sear on this side. We're trying to get these nice and brown. And that is the sound you want to hear. That I know I always say that, but really that's what you're looking for, that really high heat. Okay, and as promised, we're going to season this side. Salt. And you can do this kind of on a medium coarse grind, and then don't forget the garlic because that is really going to add a lot to the flavor of this. A couple minutes, we'll turn them when they're golden brown. So we've got about 4 or 5 minutes on a side. That's what we're after right there, that nice char kind of going on in the frying pan. We'll flip these in about another 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll get the sauce going. To say this is not messy would be telling you a fib. These are nice here. We're gonna pull the chops up. We'll finish cooking them later. What I want you to do is drain off this oil, and we're gonna keep all those drippings that are in there because that's what's gonna make this sauce. We'll put our garlic in and really just kind of swirl it around just enough to kind of start to heat the garlic up just a little bit. If you could smell that right now, John, is that smelling good?
Really good.
That garlic really comes to life. All right, a little chicken broth in there to deglaze the pan. And you see how we pull up those drippings? We'll take that, take a little bit of crushed red pepper. You can always add more, so don't put in too much. We're gonna take a couple shots of rice wine vinegar, and then you can't have a honey glaze without honey. So in goes the wildflower honey, and we'll start to reduce that. All right, now is the time to taste this sauce, see if we need to make any adjustments. Ooh, just spicy enough. Let's get these chops back in there. And if the sauce starts to get a little too thick, you can add a little bit more chicken broth to it. We're gonna let these simmer for about another 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm gonna add a little more chicken broth to this and keep that heat on medium-high. All right, I've turned the chops a couple times to get a nice glaze on them. We're almost done. I'm gonna add a little tablespoon of butter and get this served up. You're probably asking why put the butter in at the very end. Well, that butter melts perfectly and adds the nice creaminess to the sauce that we're after. Let's plate these up, and they're almost ready to go. Take them and put them, I wanna make a nice presentation. You know me, I always do a nice presentation. So then we'll take that pan sauce, swirl it around, get all the garlic and everything in there. I'm just gonna drizzle that right over the top. Try to get as much of the garlic in there as you can. And to finish it off, 2 reasons. One, to make it look pretty, and another, to add a little bit of essence to it. We're gonna put a little bit of freshly chopped cilantro over the top. Alrighty, that's not your mom's pork chop. That's a chili honey glazed pork chop, pan seared. You're gonna love it. It is casual elegance. Salmon is a great food, but golly, how many different ways can you cook it and keep it simple? Well, this brown sugar citrus glazed salmon is so simple and so tasty, I think you're really gonna put it at the top of your list. Let's get cooking with Styles. The beauty of this brown sugar citrus crusted salmon is there are so few ingredients, but the flavor is over the top. And when I say simple, I mean really simple. Brown sugar, lemon zest, fresh cracked pepper, use fresh cracked pepper, and kosher salt. And all we're gonna do with that is we're just gonna put it in a bowl, and then I'm gonna whisk it around a little bit to incorporate all the ingredients. If you have a food processor that maybe has a little mini one, you can use that as well. But you can see we're just using this little whisk right here. And I'm whisking it around, breaking up those balls. And then the other part of this that makes it super simple is you don't have to take the skin off the salmon. You can leave that on. I'm going to tell you why here. Because the salmon, the skin between the flesh and salmon, there's this beautiful little layer of fat right here, and that's going to incorporate into the flavor of this. We're going to put our salmon down, spread it out on our aluminum foil here. I'm using aluminum foil because the brown sugar under the broiler will stick to your pan and you'll have a god-awful amount of work to do. And we're just going to put this over the top, the brown sugar citrus mixture, and we're going to press that down. And then what I'm going to do after I press this down is I'm going to let this sit for about 10-15 minutes. So press that down nice and firmly. A little bit more on this guy right here. I want a nice crust on these guys. And then after this, we're just going to put it under the broiler and let it cook for about 7-8 minutes. All right, let's take a look at this salmon here. You can see how that brown sugar citrus glaze has started to liquefy a little bit. And that, once it goes under the broiler, will form that crusty glaze that we're looking for. My oven's been on the broil for about 10 minutes to get the oven warm. The heat about 10 inches away from the salmon. It'll sit in here, cook maybe 8-10 minutes depending on the thickness, but keep an eye on it. You don't want that brown sugar to burn. Keep a close eye on this stuff because the brown sugar will burn, and look at how nice and bubbly that is right there. What I'm going to do is let this salmon rest for about 5 minutes on the stovetop. The reason I let the salmon rest is twofold. I want the crust to crust up because it's been under the broiler, and the second is I want all the juices to stop moving around. What I'm going to serve this with is, I love this kind of wild rice mixture, and I've just gone ahead and steamed it. And it's got red rice in it, so that's why you kind of see all the purple in there, and I've thrown a little bit of parsley in on top of that. And I'm just going to take a fillet here. Let me pull it up so you can watch this closely. And I'm just going to slide my little spatula underneath where the skin is there. And I'm going to leave that skin behind, which is where all that fat was, which adds to the flavor of this. And now you can just dig straight into that salmon with the rice. And for those that want a little lemon, I sliced it and put it on the side. But this brown sugar citrus glazed salmon is an excellent way to make salmon at your house. It's a heart-healthy food. And I'll tell you, this salmon is so flavorful. Remember when we made some shrimp scampi and it took like 3 minutes on the stovetop? Well, I'm going to do a little twist on that. It's called scampi oreganata, but it's in the oven and I'm serving it with angel hair pesto. Let's get cooking with style. I've gone ahead and butterflied the shrimp. You can see how they're splayed out here. These are all done. I'm going to do 2 for you. I'll put these in the bowl because we're going to toss those with the garlic. And let me tell you this, I found the best deal at Sprouts. They split them and clean them, and all you have to do is take off the shells. So here's the last part that you're going to have to do. This is butterflying. Take the knife and just run it down like that, not all the way through, and then there you go. See, that's butterflied. I'll do it one more time for you. And don't worry about it if you don't get it right. It's no big deal. Just hold them together when they're on the pan. See? Nice and butterflied. Okay, to the shrimp, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to take a healthy pinch of kosher salt, cracked pepper, about a 1/4 tablespoon there or so, depending if you like it a little more spicy. And if you like it really spicy, you can go with the crushed red peppers. And now garlic. And again, if you like a lot of garlic, go with a lot of garlic. If you don't worry about it. We're going to toss these, and theoretically, you'd like to let these sit for about 15-20 minutes to let all the flavors blend together. Let me just set this off to the side here and show you how we make the breadcrumbs. So I've got about a cup of Italian breadcrumbs. I've also got my olive oil and butter, and I'm just going to put that right into the breadcrumbs, and I'm going to take those and toss them, and then we'll put them on this cookie sheet along with the shrimp here. Okay, so just toss this, and what we're trying to do is make sure we coat all the breadcrumbs all the way through. The reason you're doing that is 1, flavor, 2, the oil and butter help the breadcrumbs become brown when they're on top of the shrimp. All right, let me go ahead and get these laid out. And remember, these are supposed to be here for at least 10 or 15 minutes. But let me just move these, and you can see we spread them out because we're going to put breadcrumbs inside there. And I've gone ahead and done a dozen of these guys. So let me get these spread out, and then I'll show you how to do the breadcrumbs. All right, there's the last one. Now don't forget, you've got all this beautiful garlic and olive oil in here. Let's go ahead and make sure we get that over the shrimp. And now it's time for the breadcrumbs. So our breadcrumbs are all ready to go, and we're going to take a nice tablespoon and put it over the top of each one. But then what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'll do a couple here for you and then I'll finish them up, is I want you to take the cup of your hand and press down on top. That way you press those breadcrumbs down into the shrimp. Press them down. We push those breadcrumbs down into the butterflied shrimp. My oven's preheated to 450, 500, in they go. Just remember, shrimp cooks really quick, so maybe 5 minutes max on these. Been just about 5 minutes. The scampi are looking absolutely perfect, golden brown. Those look so good. And you know, I decided to serve this up with a little angel hair pasta with that pesto sauce that we made a couple months ago. Put this on the plate like that. Oh yeah, I know your mouth's watering just like mine. And let's get these scampi on there. Put them on there like that. Doesn't that look good? Oh my God, the crunchiness of the breadcrumbs. And of course, gotta have a little Parmesan cheese on top of that pesto. Put a little bit of basil there, and I'm gonna serve it with a lemon on the side. Whew, son, that looks good. All right, scampi oregano with a little angel hair pasta and pesto. Fantastic. That's cooking with Styles. With days getting longer and the weather warming up, I thought it was time to head out to the grill. This time, we're cooking a lime cilantro chicken breast with an avocado pepita salsa on top. Let's get cooking with Styles. There's a little work involved with this recipe, and the first thing you're gonna do is split this chicken breast. We're gonna take the knife and run it down the center lengthwise, and we'll take just one to show you how to do this. A little bit of plastic. We'll put this split breast inside, and we're gonna pound this just lightly, flat side. This will make the thickness of the chicken even, and it will also make it more tender. Now that's what we're looking for right there, a nice thin piece of chicken. All right, let's get this marinade going, because this is really the key to this dish. Ingredients are simple. We got cilantro, and of course there's lime, sugar, salt, and garlic. In it goes. And then we take a little bit of lime juice. This is from about 2 or 3 limes, and then olive oil. And we're gonna take that, and we're gonna give you a good shot of olive oil in there, about a half a cup, maybe 2/3, and we're gonna whisk this together. And this is gonna be the marinade for the chicken. Now what I've already gone ahead and done is I've already started marinating some of that chicken. I'll show you what it looks like right there. When you put the chicken in here, take 1/3 of it out, because that's gonna be our dressing that'll go over this grilled chicken. I'm gonna head on out to the grill. We got the grill nice and hot. I wanna make sure that you do one thing for me, that you prep your grill. We're gonna take a little bit of oil on top of a paper towel. It's gonna help keep things from sticking. All right, in goes the chicken, and this is gonna cook fast. Get these nice big fillets on there. So it's been about 2 minutes here. We're just gonna take the spatula, get it underneath, and we're gonna just turn these a little bit. We wanna get those fancy restaurant style grill marks on there. And these will sit on here for another maybe 2 or 3 minutes before we turn them. Let's give this a turn now. And since our grill is seasoned, these are not sticking anymore. And look at those nice grill marks that we've got on there. All right, now we're gonna put the lid down and let these cook for another 3-4 minutes. Remember, since we split the breasts, these chicken breasts cook very quickly. And so you don't wanna overcook this chicken, dry it out. No one will want all the hard work that you've done. By itself, this chicken would be really good, but we're gonna elevate it just a little bit, and we're gonna make a nice little green salsa. I've got some Hass avocados that I've gone ahead and diced up, and then these are pepitas, or pumpkin seeds, that I've roasted on the stovetop, a little salt and pepper. You can buy them pre-roasted, and we're gonna mix this all together with that nice marinade. Beautiful juices of all the fruits that are in here. All right, so now let's take this and plate this up. We'll take our chicken, we'll put it on a nice plate. This is individual, so we're gonna highlight the chicken here. And then we're gonna drizzle a little bit of this salsa that I've created over the top and just kind of sprinkle it around, because the white plate is kind of the framing of it. Now that in itself looks good, but you remember the Caesar salad we did last week? Well, we're gonna turn it up a notch, in the words of Emeril Lagasse, and we're gonna put some of that salsa right on top of our chicken. And now we've got a Caesar salad with a lime cilantro chicken, or we've got just our lime cilantro chicken with that beautiful avocado pepita sauce. This is a beautiful Cajun style fish over some sauteed spinach. I know you're gonna love it. Let's get cooking with style. The great thing about making the Cajun seasoning is you have all these ingredients in your seasoning cabinet, more than likely. You've got paprika here, we've got some garlic, thyme, Cajun, make that cayenne pepper, onion, and pepper. One thing though you might have noticed that I did not mention in this seasoning here is salt, and that's the key to making things heart healthy. Don't over salt. And also try to cut back on your fat consumption. So we've got our Cajun seasoning, our rockfish, and we're gonna lightly brush this with a little bit of oil, okay? This is gonna help the Cajun seasoning stick to our fish, and it also help it keep from sticking to the baking dish that we've got it on. So I'm gonna put oil on both sides and then also on our baking dish. And we'll just take this and we'll sprinkle it lightly over the top. Now, if you like it a little bit more spicy, you can put more of this on there. And if you like it a little bit less, you can put less. A light coating here of the oil, because we want to make sure that this doesn't stick. So we'll put the seasoned side down, and we're going to season that other side. This is going to go in the oven here in just a moment. All right, now make sure you get a good even coating on here. And with this, we're also gonna serve this up with some beautiful sauteed spinach, onions, and a little bit of bacon. That's where our saltiness is gonna come in. So there we go, it got a nice coating. We're gonna get these in the oven and get them baking. Oven preheated to 425. Put it in on the top shelf and we'll keep an eye on it. We're not just gonna serve that Cajun rockfish by itself. We're gonna make a little sauteed spinach. So I've got some bacon here, and I'm using low sodium, and I'm also gonna use about 1/4 of a sliced onion here, and we'll saute this up. And just before we pull that rockfish out of the oven, we'll finish the spinach. All right, the onions and the bacon are caramelized. To this, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. Whisk that around, and you will be amazed how fast and how small this spinach gets. I'm using the baby spinach. You could use the frozen and you could use the whole leaf, but I like these baby spinach. And I'm not adding any salt to this. A minute more here and we'll head over to the counter and put it all together. All right, let's get this fish out. That is looking good. There's the spinach. Let's make it happen. Hot off the presses and out of the oven, as it were. So we're gonna take our spinach and just layer it in there. And you notice some of this spinach is still not cooked, but because it's the baby spinach, it'll be so nice and tender. So we get a nice presentation like that, and then we'll take our rockfish. Now you could be using catfish, tilapia, halibut. I wouldn't use halibut because it's such a wonderful fish. You don't want to over season it. But we'll put that rockfish on top of that beautifully sauteed spinach. And I'm gonna take one more piece and see if I can sneak it in there. There we go. Put some lemons in there just to make it look pretty. I'm telling you what, man, not only is this heart healthy, but it is so flavorful. When you think about pot roast, you think, well, that's just a basic meal. But this pot roast, it's anything but that. And the recipe is totally elevated, but super easy to make. Let's get cooking with style. We're gonna take this chuck steak, and I want you to leave the fat that's on here because that's gonna add to the flavor. We're gonna season both sides. We're gonna go pretty heavy on the kosher salt. We're using the coarser grind of the pepper. And then what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take a little bit of flour and I'm gonna put it over the top. We're gonna use about a 1/4 cup on this, okay? And we're gonna kind of pat that in. I'm gonna flip it over and do the same thing. And then I'm gonna get the edges. This is gonna do two things. It's going to brown this up so it gives us a nice little caramelization in the pan when we go to cook it. It's simple, it's easy. Let's get this bad boy in the pot and get things cooking. So I've gone ahead and got my Dutch oven preheated. I'm gonna take about a 1/4 cup of oil, and this will probably smoke a little bit because I've got it nice and hot. And we're gonna take this chuck, make sure we get most of that flour off. We're gonna brown this for about, say, 6 to 7 minutes per side on a medium-high heat. All right, let's take a look under the hood and see how we're doing. Oh yeah, that is exactly what you're looking for right there. A nice golden brown crust. Another 6 or 7 minutes on this side. So now let's get this pot roast roasting. We're gonna take it out for just a second because I wanna drain off that excess oil that's in there. And just take it like so. Get rid of most of that oil right there. We don't need to be eating that. And then back in goes our chuck. We'll take a 1/2 cup or more of red wine, whichever you like. We're gonna put in about a 1/2 cup of water, and then in go our vegetables. Shallots, bay leaves, carrots. Now remember, the potatoes go in later. Don't put them in now or else they'll get all mushy. Leave that just like it is. Put the lid on this. Check it every about half hour, and in about 3 hours, this is gonna be unbelievably good. So it's been about 3.5 hours, so let's look under the hood. Oh yeah, take a look at that. That is absolutely fantastic. All right, so let's get it ready to serve for dinner. And I wanna show you how tender this is and how beautiful it turned out. This is just absolutely scrumptious. Look at how it just falls apart. So this is exactly what we're looking for when we get a pot roast. Just super tender, falling apart, ultra flavorful, and just absolutely juicy with flavor. So let's go ahead and get these vegetables up on there. And just look at all these beautiful root vegetables. You have your celery, your carrots, your potatoes. This is quintessential peasant food that is so elevated and so spectacular. And now to finish it off, I'm gonna take a little bit of fresh parsley, and then the heat from the dish will trigger the oils or essence from that parsley to get up into the flavor. That is what I grew up on, pot roast dinner. We're gonna grill up a steak and serve it with a garlic herb butter, and I'm gonna show you the difference between a porterhouse and a T-bone. I went to Cecil's Meat to get one of the best cuts in town. Let's get cooking with Styles. I'm gonna confess, I'm a carnivore and I love meat, but I don't eat a lot of it. So when I do, I make sure it is absolutely perfect. And that's why I go to Cecil's Meat or Iowa Meats and I get one of my favorite cuts, which is this, a porterhouse. Now, in case you don't know what a porterhouse is, it's actually 2 cuts of meat in one. It's the filet mignon and then the New York strip. Now you can get a T-bone, but it's gonna have maybe just a sliver of that filet mignon. So that's why I say go with the porterhouse, and sometimes they'll both be on sale at the same time at the same price. Always, always buy the porterhouse. Let's get this on the grill because this is gonna take a lot longer. You can see how thick that guy is. That's gonna be beautiful once we're done here. So a little olive oil over the top, and we're gonna just give that a little swirl over the top with that. A light seasoning of salt and pepper because we're gonna put that garlic herb butter when it's all finished. We'll do one side, flip it over and get the other side and get this on the grill and get things rolling, and then we'll come back and do the herb garlic butter, which is really, really versatile. Okay, salt over the top. Let's get this on the grill here. And I've got this on a medium-high grill because we don't want this to get too burned. There we go. All right, let's do this garlic herb butter. So I've got my butter softened up here, and it's really, really simple. So we're gonna take some fresh herbs, and you can use anything you want, but I'm gonna go with a little bit of parsley here, and we're gonna take some fresh basil. You could do thyme, you could do tarragon, you could do a variety of things. I'm gonna also add a little bit of oregano. And I'm just gonna take this and I'm gonna medium chop it, not coarse and not fine, because we want it, when we get into the butter and we have a bite of something, we wanna taste it. And we're gonna do about a teaspoon of each. So clearly I have way too much herbs here. We'll set those off to the side, and we'll give this, as I said, a medium to medium fine chop. And if some of the pieces are bigger, don't worry about it. Just get it all chopped up there. And then to our butter, along with these herbs, we're going to take a couple other things. In go our herbs. And the great thing about this butter is you can save it and freeze it. I like to take it and roll it up, and then when I have something, I just take it out, cut a piece off, and there we go. So to this, I'm going to add my shallots and garlic. In those go, and we just give this a nice stir. Now, don't go with unsalted if you don't add salt, but you can just go with salted butter, and then you don't have to add the salt. And for this dish, we're not going to put this in that roll. We're going to leave it soft like this, so when we serve it up, it melts immediately when it goes on the top. So you can see that nice mixture of herbs and spices right there. We'll pop this in the fridge to keep it cool, but not get hard. Let's go check on our steak. Let's take a look underneath and see how we're doing there. Ah, there we go. Okay, now we're gonna flip it and turn it to get the hash marks on that. Remember, we're working with a really hot grill here. Another 2 minutes and then turn it. All right, now we're gonna go for the turn, and we're gonna move this to the hottest part of the grill for about 1 more minute. This is where the patience comes in. We gotta take this steak off, and you gotta let it rest for at least 5 minutes. I say 7 to 10. Check back in just a bit. Please wait before you cut this meat. As you can see, when I take this off, there's just a little bit of drippings left. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our steak and we're gonna bone it out. We're gonna take the filet and cut it off, okay? And you're thinking, why are you doing that? You'll see in just a moment. And then we take the New York and we just run the knife down here like so, and we take this off. Now we're gonna save this bone because this is part of the presentation. We're gonna put it back on our plate. So make sure you're working with a nice sharp knife. Let's do the New York strip first, and we'll just go ahead and cut this. And we're going for medium rare, which is what I think we've got here, and it's looking pretty good. Remember, your butter should be at room temperature because what you want that to turn into is your sauce. Okay, so there's that. We'll bring this over here like so, and we're gonna just take this piece, put it right back there like that. And now we're gonna fan it just a little bit like that. See how we got a nice little fan there? And now we're gonna take that filet mignon and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Some people are gonna wrestle for this filet here. Personally, myself, I'm all about the New York strip because it's got more marbling and more flavor in it, in my mind, but to each his own. All right, so we take, let's get this out of the way here. Put this in position. Now we put that a little fan like that. So doesn't that look nice? Now we take a little dollop of our butter, and this, once it gets on top of this, is gonna start to melt. And that is gonna turn into a beautiful little herb butter sauce. See, there we go, that's that. We take a little bit of parsley because we're looking to make this look really appealing. Wipe off that excess juice on the rim. We want to save it in the center because that's going to add to the flavor of this. So this is your grilled porterhouse with a garlic herb butter that is going to knock the socks off of everyone. And this is enough for 4 people because I'm telling you, this flavor is outstanding. This is Cooking with Styles Casual Elegance.